Hey guys, it's Maymay and welcome to Wednesday. That's what today is. I have gotten so many requests from you guys to show you how to do this card. This was the last one in the Q&A video, and this card is gorgeous. As a matter of fact, when we were having the card party, I told Laura, I know I will be doing a demo on this card because everybody's going to want to see it. It looks like this on the front. You open it up, there's a pocket here you can put a gift in, and it's made from a paper bag. So we're going to do that today. But first I want to show you a couple of things. The paper I'm going to use to do this bag with is this Graphic 45 and Erie Tail. Here's the reason. I'm going to make this paper bag card today, and then I would love to show you how to turn it into a mini album in the next video. So let me know if you want to see that, because I think this would make an awesome mini album, and I'm going to make it into one anyway, and if you want to see it, I'll take you along. But I'm going to use this paper to do that today. And Jamie has this in the store at Punch Place Plus. There's always a link below for her. And this one she has on sale for $17.99, and I want to say she only has 5 packs. I don't know if she sold any over the weekend, but I know this weekend or Monday she had like 5 packs. So go check that out if you want to get this for $17.99. But she also just got in Sweet Sentiments, which is absolutely gorgeous paper. Look at that. I know this feels like spring, but the thing about Graphic 45 paper is once it's gone, it's gone. So if you love this, you need to go grab it while you can. So this is Sweet Sentiments, and my favorite, 'Twas the Night Before Christmas. Look at this paper. Yep, I know. Gorgeous. I can't stand it. I think it is the most beautiful paper. And I almost used it today, but I thought, no, I'm going to stick to my Halloween theme, and I want to use that Erie Tail paper. Look at that. Ugh, just love it. I really want to use this in a mini album for Christmas, and I don't really want to use this in the one that is the card album that I'm making, because I got such beautiful Graphic 45 paper sent to me. I want to use that. So, I don't know. I'm torn. Anyway, if you want any of those papers, go grab them. And like I said, today we'll be using this one. A couple of little housekeeping things we need to take care of first. Number one, this bag is 6 1/4 by almost 11. Okay, so this bag is 6 1/4 by almost 11. I don't have any bags that size that will work for this. I do have some Christmas themed ones, but they don't even work with my Christmas paper. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to use one of these little guys and just scale this project down. We'll still do all the work to make this, but we're going to make it in a smaller size. That way, if you don't have the right bag either, you can do what I'm going to do. Now, this is the bag. I buy them in these packages. This is a 50 count bag, and I want to say I get these at the Dollar Tree, and if not, one of my local little like dollary stores like Dollar General or Fred's or something like that. I don't know where that would be for you guys overseas, because I don't know what dollary stores you have, but maybe just like like your grocery store will have them too. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to cut all the paper for all of these mats, okay? So what you need to do, and this is where I know it's the hard part, but what I want you to do is break this down a little at a time, okay? So if you want to say, I'm going to start with the back, how easy would that be, right? So let's start with the back. I'm not going to do any cutting on this bag. Now, Laura told me that she did cut this bag down because she folded it in half and cut an edge off. I'm not going to do that. Because I'm working with a smaller bag, I want to use all this area that I can. So I'm going to fold this bag short. So see here where I have this edge that it doesn't quite meet? I'm going to fold it as wide as I want it, 1/2 inch or so is what I'm going to leave myself here for my tags to hang out. The thing about this card, you clearly would have to make your own envelope for it anyway. So what you do here doesn't matter. You can do your envelope to fit it later. And it probably won't be a perfect fit, but you can figure out one close to it. So we folded this bag, and I know that's how my card is going to lay. So I'm going to go ahead and flip it over and start measuring. Now this is the time in my crafting when I pull out a pen and a Post-it notepad. And this is a suggestion I have for you. When you're going to do something for the first time and you're going to do all the measuring, go ahead and make yourself a note. This is my bag card / mini page. Okay, if I had a different bag, or if I wanted to be specific, I could put the measurement of this bag or something like that to tell me what this is for. Here's what I'm going to do to start. I'm going to do the back mat. You just write this any way you know what it means, okay? So I'm going to measure this piece. This piece is 5 3/4 wide, okay? But I like a little border. So instead of cutting this to 5 3/4, I'm going to come down 1/4 of an inch. And that will give me 1/8 of an inch all on both sides shorter, okay? So my back will be 5 1/2 by, and it measures a little over 5 1/4. It actually measures 5 3/8. So I will cut this 5 1/8. So my back mat will be 5 1/2 by 5 1/8. Always check, and recheck your measurements. Make sure you know you have that right. So I know that's my back mat, okay? We'll get to the mats in a second. Let's keep measuring. Now inside the card, I want to show you on hers, this piece that's matted on this bag goes all the way into the fold here at the pocket. So when we're measuring for that piece, you might want to move this one out of the way so you can get from here all the way out, okay? I'm not worried about this little jut end because I'm going to cover it with my mat anyway. So let's measure this length. It's right at 9 inches. And that means I'm going to cut this one to 8 3/4. So this is my inside large mat. It'll be 8 3/4 by, it's 5 3/8. Okay, so we're going to go to 5 1/8 again. Now, could I have known that from my measurement on the back? Yes, but I don't trust those things. I always measure every spot. That's just how I do things. Now I want to do this small pocket for the inside. So I'm going to do inside pocket. And I'm going to measure. I know this one's 5 1/8. We're getting comfortable with that number. And I'm going to do it by, it measures 3 1/2, so I'm going to bring it down 1/4 and make it 3 1/4. Okay, so now I have the back measured, the inside measured, and now let's work on our front portion. Now here you'll see, you might not can see, it may be difficult, but I'm going to try to make you be able to see this. Here in the center, there is a split. There we go. If I do that, you can see it. There's a split because there are 2 mats. Now, her paper is very similar in color, so you really can't tell that there's 2 mats. But because we turned this front into 2 pockets, she did 2 mats. So I'm going to do the same thing, and here's how I'll do it. And this will be outside mat number 1. And then I'll have outside mat number 2 because I'm going to do a separate one, okay? But really, they'll both be the same measurement. For your mats on the front, you're going to need to adjust a little bit. If you can split 5 3/8, go for it. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to split 5 1/4. So I'm going to have a tiny bit shy, but it's so much easier to split 5 1/4 in half than it is to split 5 3/8. But feel free to do either way you want to. Now remember, we folded this one funny, so we need to measure this one and make sure. And this one's going to be 5 inches. I'm still trimming that 1/8 off just to make it even, okay? So those will be by 5 inches. That'll make sense when we start to lay them out and we start to cut them. Now the next thing she has here is, this is an embellishment. Then she created this little banner piece. This will do just from some scrap paper. She has this little mat, a second mat, and then her embellishment. These we can do as we go along. All right, the fun part, let's pick paper. Now my habit for picking paper is, whatever is not seen, like the back sheet, where I'm going to put a sheet on the back here, that's a piece I don't care what it looks like. So I'm going to pick my least favorite piece in this collection, and that's what I will put on the back. Now remember, my least favorite piece and your least favorite piece are going to be completely different because we all have different favorites in this book. Okay. For me, because I'm not a fan of spiders, I'm going to use the spiderweb page. It's just not my favorite. So I'm going to take that out, and that will be the back of my book. Now for that large inside section, this is one I want to be a pretty good focal piece. I love how that looks. So I want to find one in here that I really love, so when someone opens it, they see a beautiful piece of paper. Oh, this piece is gorgeous. All right, I'm going to be using this piece for that large inside section. Now I need to find something that coordinates but is different for the pocket. And what I'm going to do, I don't know if you can see this, but I have that page I just picked laying up here. And I'm going to flip through my book with that still laying where I can see what page really works with it. This green looks really good with it. That looks amazing with it. Okay, I think I've chosen the orange. I think that is amazing. So I'll take that piece out. So that will go with this piece. Now then, we need to pick the front. Now if you want your pages to be really close to the same like this, go right ahead. But I want to do them different. So I'm going to pick 2 different pages for these mats. And remember, this is the front. So this is what people are going to see when they first get the card or when they flip through your mini album. Okay. These owls are super cute. I think that will look good on the front. So I'm going to use that. And I love how they look with this stripe. I think that'll be good and grounding for the front base. Now remember when you're cutting to pay attention to the orientation of your bag. This is the front of my bag. This is the back. This means I want to make sure the pattern on this page is running this way so that I don't end up getting my spider sideways. This is the wider measurement, which is 5.5. So I want to go ahead and cut this paper down to 5.5. Then I'll do my shorter measurement this way, which is 5 1/8. That way when I bring it back to my bag, my pattern is laying in the right direction. See? Okay, let's keep going. For my inside large mat, the same thing. If your pattern has an orientation, make sure you cut it in that way. And this orientation needs to be like this. So this sheet is going to be cut at 5 1/8 tall by 8 3/4 wide. So now when I open my bag, this piece will fit here. See? Perfect. We're doing good so far. All right, let's cut this mat. All right, the inside mat, or the inside pocket, is 3 1/4 by 5 1/8. Again, just remember your paper orientation. Pay attention to that, because you'll be sad if you get to your book and it doesn't work. And we'll test that. So this one goes at the top half. Perfect. Now I need the bottom one. Now before we mat everything, I want to ink everything. And I'm going to be heavy with my ink. So I'm going to use my ink blending tool. And I'm going to use Vintage Photo, a nice dark red toned ink. If you have one of the mats that you can ink on, that's awesome. If not, just grab some scrap paper. And sit this guy down and ink. This is something that Laura did. She inked hers very heavily. And that gave it that nice vintage look. I know I've shown you this before, but the trick for inking is to hold your ink blending tool at an angle so only half of it touches the paper to start, and rub inward. And that will keep you from getting a stamp of that shape. It will let you get that shape. Okay? Now I'm going to go through and do every single page very heavy like this. I won't make you watch me do that. That'll take a minute. But then we'll come back together and keep going. Now I've inked all of my pages, and I also want to ink the bag. And I want to do it now before I mat anything. So I'm going to take the ink and do just like I did on the paper, and I want it heavy. This is one thing that really made the bag tie into her design, is she inked heavy, and it was just amazing. She did a great job. While I'm inking this, I want to tell you, when we get ready for a card party, we design the cards like she did here. Then we prepare 8 kits, because we go to an 8-person card party. So we prepare 8 kits, just like I'm doing now. We do the measurements, we know what we need, and then we cut that out so that you can make 8 sets of that same card. Then when you get to the party, everybody gets one of the kits, and we all make them at the same time. And if you're like Laura, you stand there and tell us how to do it, because we don't have a clue until you show us, because it's very intricate. So that's the first little glimpse into how to get ready for a card party. And if you do something like this, and Laura always tends to do something very intricate and very neat and detailed, then you spend a lot of time getting your kits ready. Alright, and now I'm going to do the outside just the same. One other place I want to make sure I ink is this fold. Because remember, that's the edge of the card, and that will show. So to keep everything consistent, ink it as well. Let's start to assemble. I'm going to start with the back. Now, I'm going to turn this into a mini album, so I'm going to use my tape that I'll always use for that sort of thing. This is the tape from Punch Place Plus, the sticky tape, and it's nice and sturdy, so that's what I'm going to use. So I'm going to get my back piece. If you were just going to give this as a card to someone, you could probably get away with your ATG. I think that would be fine. Going to be using a couple of new products today. This is one that I purchased in my Tupelo design haul. This is my craft pick, and somebody's like, I think it was Kim Schultz was like, you're going to love that craft pick. And she's right. I took it with me to the card party. I love it. I love how easy it makes this. No more fingernailless girl trying to get the backing off of this adhesive. This works great. And I don't have to use my X-Acto knife and take a chance of cutting my paper. There we go. So now, making sure my spiders are in the right place and my card is in the right place, this is our back. The ink makes such a difference. You see how worn and weathered that looks? Just love it. Now this next step is very important. You need a stapler, okay? What you'll do is you're going to staple down the center to separate and make two pockets. If you don't have a stapler, don't worry. You can also just maybe poke some holes through here and run some lacing. That would be super cool. Or worst case scenario, just stick some adhesive inside and stick it down. But now you have a couple of options. You can eyeball the center line, which is what I'm going to do, or you can measure it. But I'm going to eyeball and just kind of line my stapler up into the center of that front cover of the paper bag. And staple 1, move out. Staple 2, move out. Staple 3. Now, see how crooked those are? It won't matter. But we've just created 2 front pockets. Next, we can mat the inside. The reason you want to do this first is because it'll hide your staples in the back. Funny story. The way Jane and I first started talking, I watched her do a mini album, and the way she held her tape, it amazed me. This is how she does it. Her hand becomes the dispenser. She puts it in her hand, puts this piece on the tip of her finger, and now she has a tape dispenser. And that's how Jane and I started talking. It was because I was like telling people about it, and someone went and told her that I had mentioned her on my channel, and one thing led to another. So that's an interesting little story for you. Now this piece is going to get sunk in under the pocket. So you'll just place that into the, depending on how you measured, you know, for your mat portion, if you have any hanging off or if you don't. And I don't want any hang off, so I'm gonna line it up at the end down here. Right there. Just like that. And that part will be hidden. So you see that? Cool, huh? Now we're going to establish that fold again. You know where your fold is because it's here. So just go ahead. This way you don't have to pre-score it because you really aren't sure, because bags can be different. This way you just fold it once you get it in there. Okay? You can take your bone folder and burnish that down. Alright, let's put the front pieces on. Okay, so I have my adhesive exposed on these already, and I want to show you. Make sure you look at your pattern orientation. And then this one is the top pocket. And it covers up those staples anyway, so I'm not really concerned about how crooked. I told you it won't matter. If you want them to be perfect, just measure them. And then the bottom pocket. That is so pretty. Now before I go any further, I want to seal this pocket down. And this is where I'll be using another new product. This is the Art Glitter Glue with that fine tip. I took this to the card party and I love it. I used it like crazy. So I'm going to run a bead here. And you want to use wet glue in this location because if you're going to put a card in, you want to make sure it doesn't stick to a taped edge. So I'm just closing this up with a little bit of this wet glue. I love this tip. It makes it so easy to be precision. Alright, so I went ahead and did that so I could start working on the front while that dries. So we'll close that like that. Now we want to make this portion. This is where we get to get creative. So I'm going to look through the paper pack and see what I can do to put this together. So I found this tag. I love it. I'm going to use that tag for a mat piece. So I'm going to cut it out. Before I finish cutting, I want to tell you, I could have left the orange showing and kind of had a mat built on it, but I want to build up the mat on the front, so I want to have the feeling of thicker, richer front piece. So I'm cutting this orange away, and I'm going to cut a different mat to give me some thickness. This would look good. Yep, I like that. So I'm going to use that on the back of here. That way I don't have to cut another whole piece down. And then we need some sort of embellishment. And I have an idea. I think we'll get to that in just a second. Let's go ahead and ink this up. Now I'm going to adhere it down to this so I can cut the matte section out. So to make this easy, I'm going to place this to the top. Ooh, almost stuck it down. Place it to the top. Like so. Then just trim off the bottom. And this way I get the feel of a thicker, richer tag. And I get to add some more pattern. Now you want to look at the front of your card and decide if you want to add any other elements. And I do. I want to do that banner she did behind. I think it was really cute, and I'll show you how she did that. I think I'm going to cut my banner to 4 3/4, which will be pretty long, but that'll be good. I'm using this rose-colored paper. So it's going to be 1 inch by 4 3/4. Rose-colored paper. You know what I meant. Rose pattern paper. Now let's make the banner piece. And to do that, take your scissor at one end and slit up about 1/4 inch. Then go from corner to that slit. Corner to that slit. And there's your first notched side. Now let's do it over here. So this one gets adhered straight down. Alright, so this piece is going to go right through the middle here. Like so. And I like the ends kind of loose. I thought that looked good. And then this guy is going to get adhered here. Now you can see the difference in what Laura did and what I'm doing. I'm just kind of playing and doing the same kind of thing, but with a different feel. So let's adhere this guy down. Alright, let's put this down. The cool thing is, because of the way we have this beware tag, we could put writing on here for whatever occasion it might be. Now I did do one thing I didn't mean to do. I adhered this down before I poked a hole in this tag. So I'm going to lift it up really carefully. Poke a hole in there. Using my crocodile. Have to be creative since I messed up. I got to get that where I can see it. Alright, I did it. Good. I've bent it a little bit. Not too bad. And you know what else I didn't do? I didn't ink that paper. Okay, you guys caught me. There's my mistakes. I would ink this though because I totally missed that. Now I want to put a little twine in that hole. Something to make it look super cool. So I have this little piece. I don't know if I can squeeze it in, but I'm going to try to. I think it'll look neat. There we go. So if you have to go back and fix things, you can. I do wish I'd have inked that. Oh well, missed it. Nothing I can do about it. I could go back with ink now and try, but I think I'm just going to let it be. Now I want to put a cute little something here. So let me see what I can find. Do you guys remember that Anita Blaylock sent me these cute little Halloween K & Company pieces? I am so going to use something out of here for the front. Lay these down. I like that they're on clear because I can kind of hold things up and see. This is what I'm thinking. This pumpkin is so cute. With the frog on top, that's the one I want to use. And I'm going to take it and sit it in this area and stick it down. So stinking cute. Now we have a couple other things to do. We need something here, something for here, and we need to make our tags. So, my idea for here is paper, because this paper pack has some cool little things. I'll show you. So this piece was in the paper pack, and I think it will look so good right there. I'm not going to forget to ink it. I want to say this before I stick this down. If you're doing this as a mini album and you want more pocket space, here's a good place for it. For this first page, I'm not going to worry about that. But if we turn this into a mini album, I'll probably do something different later. So I dug into my scrap drawer and I found a couple of pieces. And here's how I'm going to decide what's going to go in there. I'm going to pick the sentiment I want to put in there. So let me do that real quick. So I have this stamp from my stamp set called Country Pumpkin, which I'm sorry, it has sold out. I'm also thankful to you guys for that. But this one is Trick or Treat, Smell My Feet, Give Me Something Good to Eat. And I'm going to use Distress ink and ink that up. And then stamp this onto this paper. Just like that. Love it. Now, I'm going to trim around the edge. This is how you know that whatever stamp you're wanting to use is going to fit on the piece of paper you took out for it. Go ahead and just stamp and then cut around the stamp. So we'll stick that there. And there you go. Using that same colored paper I used for the inside on the sentiment, this is the same scrap from my drawer, we're going to make some tags. Now all I need to do is make sure my tag is shorter than the pocket here. And so I'm going to measure, I'm going to make my tag about 2 inches. I think that'll be fine. So 2 inches. And I actually think this length is good too. Just test it by sticking it into the pocket. Yep, that works fine. And now I'm just going to cut an edge at an angle, like so. Pick that up and match it back. Then flip it around and place it over here. This is how I do my tags to make it easier, because I hate measuring. Let's poke some holes in these guys. Let's ink them up. So for a little more fun on our tags in our hole, we're going to run some, I'm going to use the same kind of twiney style ribbon that I used on the front. Just do a little short piece like that. And then run some through this side. Now I'm just going to take some of this. I want to show you something that Laura did, which I think is a good tip. She took her ribbon and she glued it at the top so that it would stay. Just a bit of glue here. And then place that down, and you can kind of offset them. Then she took her twine and wrapped behind it, and that way it would kind of hold there while she tied it instead of having to fuss with it. So that little bit of glue is acting like fingers for you and holding that together. Alright, so our tags can go in to our bag pocket. So one on this side, then one on this side, if I can get this one open. It's hard to see them. There we go. Now I can see it. Put this little guy in. I didn't put any mats or anything on the tag. That way when I go to use it, or whatever I'm going to use it for, I can change it if I need to. So check it out. That's it. That's the paper bag card or mini album page. And like I said, I would really like to do this into a mini album. So if you guys would like to see that, let me know. And I have some really exciting stuff going on, guys. And I want to give you a little bit of information. If you're interested in doing a card party with me, so crafting with me at a local Hobby Lobby in the Birmingham, Alabama area, please be watching on maymaymadeit's Facebook page. And I will be probably releasing that information on Friday. It is limited to 10 people, so you really need to get out there and go like the Facebook page. I'll put a link to that below. And that's it, guys. I appreciate you guys watching, and you will learn more about that card party coming up. Talk to you on Friday. Have a great one. Bye-bye.